China's simp economy just crashed and gold diggers are pissed.
China's simp economy collapses.
China's simp economy just crashed and gold diggers are pissed. Today we have some videos for you guys. One is from Aaron Cleary, and the other one is from Passport Journey. Both channels will be linked in the description, so you go check them out and support them. And we're discussing the collapse of the Chinese simp economy and how this is actually spreading from China all around the world, because so many women right now are living entirely off the simp economy. Watch the end of the video to fully understand the implications of the collapse of the simp economy, how it's going to affect the global economy, affect women as a whole, and change the landscape around us forever. Now let's just go ahead and jump right into the very first video.
Are you wondering how all this happened? Well, let's dive into it, shall we? Hello there, my name is Sarah, and welcome to this video with all your friends here from Passport Journey. Are you men ready to discover the beauty of Asian women and the wonders that our world has to offer? If your answer is yes, then you've come to the right place. Now, in this episode, we will discuss China's simp economy is finally collapsing, and the fallout is as spectacular as it is inevitable. For years, the nation's men have poured resources and energy into chasing women who, frankly, never respected them. The whole system was unsustainable from the start, a bubble bound to burst. Now, as the dust settles, the cries of leftover and gold-digging women are the loudest. They're realizing the game is up, and men have wised up, stopped chasing, and started reclaiming their power. The simp economy thrived on men believing they needed to go above and beyond to secure female validation. Men drained their wallets, compromised their dignity, and sacrificed their ambitions just to keep these women happy. Meanwhile, these so-called queens reaped the benefits without lifting a finger. They didn't care about building genuine connections or fostering mutual respect. They were in it for the superficial perks, gifts, attention, and an easy life. As men wake up, they're no longer playing this ridiculous game. They're seeing the truth. Their worth isn't determined by a woman's approval. They're focusing on self-improvement, financial independence, and personal growth. This shift is shaking the very foundation of the simp economy, leaving these women scrambling. They all are simply just wondering what's going on and why men are becoming more aware. Their easy ride is over, and they're not equipped to handle it. Leftover women, those who thought they could wait until their late 30s to settle down, are facing harsh realities. They believe they could always secure a high-value man later in life. But men aren't interested in their worn-out charms anymore. They want youthful, vibrant partners who haven't spent years riding the carousel. The window of opportunity is closed for these women, and their options are dwindling. Gold diggers, on the other hand, are finding their hustle exposed. They thrived on manipulating desperate men into funding their lifestyles. But with men becoming more aware, their tactics aren't working anymore. These women are left without the financial support they've come to depend on, and they're panicking. The easy money is drying up, and they have no backup plan. This collapse is a wake-up call for both men and women. For men, it's a reminder to value themselves and not to be suckered into the simp trap. For women, it's a harsh lesson in the consequences of relying on superficial tactics. The dynamics are shifting, and only those who adapt will thrive. Men are channeling their resources into more productive endeavors. Instead of wasting money on women who don't respect them, they're investing in businesses, education, and their health. They're becoming the best versions of themselves, and the results are astounding. Wealth, confidence, and real power are their new priorities. The collapse of the simp economy is liberating for men. They're no longer slaves to a system that exploited their natural desire to provide and protect. They're setting boundaries, demanding respect, and refusing to settle for anything less. This newfound strength is transforming their lives and relationships for the better. Women who relied on the simp economy are now forced to reconsider their strategies. They can no longer expect men to bend over backward for them. They have to bring something real to the table, like genuine affection, support, and partnership. The superficial era is ending, and a new, more balanced dynamic is emerging. The loudest cries come from those who benefited most from the old system. Leftover women and gold diggers are experiencing a rude awakening. They're learning that their value isn't tied to their ability to manipulate men.
You see, guys, this is a very important concept A lot of women have been taking extreme advantage of men and living off the simp economy for decades now. If you really do not understand just how valuable the simp economy is for women, we need to jump into Only Fools. So, in 2023, for the 2023 to 2024 season, the NBA's combined payroll was $4.9 billion. Okay? This is the combined payroll of the NBA. In 2023, OF content creators, this is content creators on OF, made $6.6 billion. So women on OF generated more money, made more money than all the NBA players combined. They made 1.7, almost $2 billion more than all the NBA players combined. I want you guys to understand just how lucrative that simp economy is. And OF is only a part of the simp economy. This includes taking women out on dates, buying them food, paying their rent, giving them gifts, cash apping them. These are all parts of the despicable simp economy. But the economy is collapsing rapidly around us. More men are choosing not to get involved in the simp economy, to prioritize themselves and their well-being. You have women laughing about it in the comments, saying that when they hear that, men are now waking up to the fact that women have been going on dates just for the free food for a long time. They're like, oh, it's called, you're called a foodie. They're like, oh, so that's what it's called. All right. That's what we've been doing this entire time. Guys, I'm telling you right now, there's no doubt that women are trolling us. They are 100% trolling us. This is a sick society. This is a very, very sick society. And the way women are behaving right now is it's like they're trying to push society towards a world that has more in common with the Handmaid's Tale than anything else. You have to understand that women in the Roman Empire, the greatest empire to ever exist, the most technologically advanced empire known to have ever existed before the modern day era, women held considerable power and positions of influence in this empire, and they drove the empire to a place where men eventually walked away. They were given so much power and privileges in the empire that they began running off on their husbands, divorcing their husbands, and running off with gladiators, Chad and Tyrone. And men were treated extremely poorly in society. Hence, men walked away from society, and a lot of awful things happened in the empire as a result of the concepts of love and kindness. And under the guise of love and kindness, ideas were shut down, conversations were shut down, men were silenced. It became vitriolic, and eventually men just gave up. And when men gave up, the empire, the empire said that men were worse than all of the criminals in the Roman Empire, and they were punished severely. They were restricted from entertainment. They were restricted from pretty much everything, but they still would not marry. And as a result of this, within 100 years, the empire had no military, no resources anymore. They were using slaves entirely to keep the empire afloat and subsidize the living of women. Yes, the entirety of the empire was about subsidizing women. And barbarians came in, realized the emperor had no clothes, pillaged the empire, and then we were plunged into 1,000 years of darkness and ruled over by the church for 1,000 years. This is the history of it. When the Roman Empire fell, women lost their rights. Not only did women have no autonomy, they basically fell into a state where they were the equivalent of serfs. They had to work alongside men in the fields, but they had less autonomy and freedom as of men. It was a horrible time. Their status was extraordinarily poor. And this went on for about 1,000 years, to be exact, about 900 years, before we finally emerged from the Dark Ages. And to be very clear, there was still a period of time where we began to transition away from that cultural era, that cultural dark era. So it was about 1,000 years of outright darkness. And all of that occurred because of the decisions that women made in society and the state deciding that it was going to prioritize the needs of women and the desires of women over the realities of life and the necessities of men. Basically, a country without its men is not a country. A country without its men is a wasteland. If a man does not have love for family or country, he will fight for neither. This is what ultimately ended up happening. And all the while, women continued to believe that they were powerful, they had everything, they were in charge, and no one could stop them. We are seeing parallels of this today playing out. And of course, women themselves are not going to recognize this. There is a handful of women who may speak up, but when they speak up, they are immediately told that they have internalized misogyny and shut down by very vitriolic individuals, and that includes both men and women. When we talk about these men, we're referring to the simps. When we refer to the simps, we're talking about agents of the state, because both simps and women are able to operate as agents of the state, and they are rewarded by the state for demoralizing men and reallocating wealth and resources from men to the state, which then makes it, because by utilizing demoralization, men are more easily controllable. And as men are easily controllable, then the state is able to do what it is, whatever it wants to, because men are the only ones that can stop tyranny. It's crazy. And when the state has achieved this mission and men are basically, not there to, or are not willing to step up, the rights of women begin to fall by the wayside. If you look at Venezuela, when Venezuela fell, the socialist government in Venezuela addressed women under the guise of feminism. They literally referenced feminism. They told women to be good feminists and obey their state, obey the government. They said, be good feminist and obey the government. This is the paraphrase and shorten what they actually said to women who were struggling, hungry, demoralized, and wondering how they were going to survive after, Venezuela fell into a state of crisis. It was Venezuela was propped up by the feminists. The feminists were a very, very large, they played a very large role in moving Venezuela into a socialist era. And then the state began taking control of various industries, but it was not sustainable. And when the state basically said to companies, we're going to regulate the prices of food and everything else, companies said, haha, and they basically left Venezuela. Oh, guys, you think inflation is really bad right now? Oh, you have not seen anything yet. Because if we begin practicing things like price controls in the United States, and Western society, it would only result in the choices that we have for products and services drastically declining. And eventually, if these price controls are then lifted, we would see hyperinflation similar to Venezuela. Right now, what they're actually saying, what a lot of the experts are saying is that we may be facing something much worse than inflation, which is stagflation. Basically, the economy, the economy does not do well. So you have high unemployment with high inflation, high inflation. So there's no economic growth, but there's still very high inflation, even though even though the supply of money is drying up, and it's a very, very hellish thing to happen. It's the last time we saw stagflation was back in the 1970s, and it is very, very much, it's way worse than a recession. To be very honest with you, stagflation has a lot more in common with a depression than a recession does. Okay? A recession is kind of just a reset. A depression, there can be no end in sight with a depression. And stagflation is very similar to a depression. It's absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. And it's something that people need to be very, very well aware of.
To develop real qualities and skills if they want to thrive in this new world. China's men are rising, refusing to be exploited any longer. They're finding strength in unity, supporting each other in this transformation. They're realizing that their value comes from within, not from a woman's approval. This collective awakening is a powerful force that's changing the nation's social landscape. The collapse of the simp economy is also exposing the hypocrisy of these women. They demanded the world while offering nothing of substance in return. Now they're scrambling to adjust, but it's too late. Men have moved on, leaving them to face the consequences of their own actions. In this new era, men are no longer defined by their willingness to cater to women's whims. They're defined by their achievements, character, and strength. They're rejecting the notion that they have to sacrifice their dignity to earn love. This shift is empowering and long overdue. Women who genuinely appreciate men and offer real partnership will thrive in this new landscape. They're the ones who understand the value of mutual respect and support. They'll find themselves in fulfilling relationships with high-value men who respect them for who they are, not for what they can extract. The collapse of the simp economy is a lesson in resilience and adaptation. Those who clung to outdated, exploitative tactics are struggling.
And guys, she makes a good point. If you look at this comment from kids Zozo, it's this was on my video. Broke girls are panicking as the world is collapsing. And there's some very good points here. There's some very, very good points here. So she writes in 17 years ago, I met a lovely young lady at church and we quickly fell in love. After dating for 4 months, we tied the knot in a quiet wedding of 157 guests on my bride's parents' farm. We now have 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls, and we couldn't be happier. This summer, we went on a nice holiday to the East Coast for a week and further realized how empty life would be without family. My bride and I are still very much in love, which the children constantly pick up, and as a result, they are very happy too. The schools our children attend provide a first-class education, and they are all doing really well. Recently, we received a six-figure inheritance after the passing of my wife's parents, and we now have moved into a much more comfortable home. Last Christmas, my wife bought me my dream car, and she was so happy because I was happy. Now, that's a great story. Just to be very clear, men need to understand that's not how it works today for most guys. This was 17 years ago. And the climate of things, the way that women are today versus the way that women are back then are very, very different. So a lot of men need to not, when a lot of men see the story, they need to understand that don't expect that for yourself. All right. If you want a traditional woman, it's not to say there are not good women in Western society, but for every good man, there are 20 good men chasing her. And the smartest move to make is to go overseas and find someone who's fit, feminine, and friendly. And in the United States as a whole is not a place to raise a family. So while it's great that this individual is doing very well, congrats to him and cheers to him. Don't expect that. The reason why I brought up this comment, however, is because it does pick up on a key point. And that is women who value men and show that they value men and bring value into the lives of men are the ones who will thrive in the coming age. Right now, the manosphere is going through a transformation. And one of the biggest parts of that is men learning how to be alone, learning how to be by themselves and not to need a partner to make them happy. It's a very, very important thing, how to find inner peace. It doesn't mean you will always feel happy alone, but you will learn how to be alone and how to thrive alone. And you'll comprehend that others cannot bring you happiness. In fact, they are more likely to bring you problems. Once you've suffered in your life, a lot of men will wake up and realize it's just not worth the squeeze. And some women come to the conclusion themselves as well. They say that friends are just not worth the problem, and they often invite more problems into your life than solutions. It's very, very true. And there are many of you simps who are listening that'll go, that's absolute BS. And, and you'll start to try to be disrespectful and talk crap about my video. But the reality is that, and guys, you're right, guys, there's a ton of bots. There are a ton of bots. I was watching a video by Asmon Gold, and you're absolutely right. A lot of these people are bots, and they have like a picture of like a chick on it. And yeah, these are bots. These are one 100% bots that are trying to influence the opinion of people. And it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. I don't know how the hell this is even possible, but it is possible. It's happening around us. We're definitely living in somewhat of a simulated reality. I'll say that. Definitely living in a simulated reality, with elements of a simulated reality. But it's good to see that China's simp economy is crashing and burning, and that the gold diggers are basically finding themselves up a creek without a paddle. Because many of these women are not going to be able to make it, especially women who are on like platforms like OnlyFools and OnlyFans. Like, they're cooked. I see some of them popping up on YouTube, making channels directed towards the manosphere, talking about their former lives as 304s and how God changed them and they've changed their ways. A lot of these women are not so great. For example, there was one woman I made a video about, and her response was to try to come after me. It was a pretty nasty situation. And of course, I didn't talk about it, just had to have my attorney step in and deal with it. That's something that many of you guys don't know about. Like, as YouTube content creators, we are regularly have to use attorneys. We all have to use attorneys constantly to deal with these issues that arise. And she basically thought that she was going to have her way. She was a former OnlyFools model that had set up shop in the manosphere. I talked about her, and she tried to silence me. And I had to basically fight for like, oh my gosh, was it like 3 or 4 months before I was able to resolve the situation? And she began playing games with YouTube, like she panicked. So she started filing all kinds of other crap to delay things. So in other words, like, there are waiting periods before you can take additional actions. And she basically opened up a can of worms, and she didn't know what to do afterwards because she didn't know how the system actually works. She wasn't that far ahead. And it just kind of illustrates when you're dealing with women and they basically find themselves in a position where they've, opened up a can of worms that they can't handle, they go absolutely crazy and ballistic. They go crazy and ballistic, and they panic, and that's why it's better sometimes. That's why it's not that they say men shouldn't hold grudges. Let me tell you something. It's not that. When you understand how women operate, when you understand the corruption that a lot of these individuals have, and how empty and soulless a lot of these people are, and it's like dealing with like something that it doesn't have a soul. You just kind of accept it and move on. It's like you're looking at Satan, or a child of Satan, the devil, wickedness in and of itself, and it does not have a soul. There's no humanity within it. It is a liar. It is a deceiver. It is inhumane. When you realize what you're dealing with, you just have to move on because it doesn't have a soul. And they'll try to convince you that it's like you, and it has what it wants you to see its humanity. But when you do such inhuman things, like, women have shown their hand of just how poorly men are treated. Men are treated like crap. Men are treated like absolute trash in Western society. I mean, we are hated more than the cockroach. So when you comprehend this and you look at how we are treated as men, then you wake up and you say, you know what? It's just not worth it. That's why a lot of guys, after women do horrible things to them and they fight and they survive, they just have to move on. Look at Johnny Depp and everything that this man has lost. And the best that he was able to do was recover his reputation. And he's never gotten everything back. He will never make as much money as he would have made. He lost everything. And he had to fight just to recover his reputation. What ended up happening to Amber Heard? She changed everything. She changed her name. She fled the United States. She's living she's living in somewhere in Europe right now, like a little town in Europe. And this is what women do. This is what women do. And they basically have someone else bail them out. It's crazy. It's like it's best just not to get involved, and to just stay to yourself, work on your grind, build yourself up, and then go from there. Because if you don't, these people will come after you. These people will try to take advantage of you. These people will try to use you because they have no additional value for themselves. It's a sad reality, man. It's a really, really sad reality. And that's why you, as a man, have to be continuously aware of it, because the world just wants to use us and take advantage of us. The world just wants our toys, and that's it. The world just sees us as disposable objects. And not only does it see us as disposable, but at the same time, it absolutely detests us, resents us, and hates us. Women cannot accept reality. That's one thing about women, guys. For example, look at this. Look at a comment on this video. I made a video discussing how a woman passed alone in her cubicle and no one noticed for 4 days, right? And look at the comment from this individual, Spark Out Us. This content is toxic towards women. The entirety of the video is just discussing how a woman passed away alone in her cubicle and no one noticed that she passed away for 4 days. And if she had a family, if she had a husband, if she had children, if she had people who cared about her and loved her, someone would have noticed that she had passed away. But the reality is that she passed away in her cubicle, and her employees, the employees around her, her manager, no one even cared so much as to say, hey, Gladys, are you okay? Are you doing okay? They walked by her, deceased remains, for 4 days and said absolutely nothing. We're not just talking about, oh, she passed away on a Friday and, you know, there was no one there on the weekend. No, bro, there were people there. Her coworkers were there working and they completely ignored her like she did not exist. That's also another cautionary tale for women who basically sell their souls to mega corporations and their careers, believing that this will give them fulfillment, and then they're left with absolutely nothing, and they believe that a man is supposed to step in and provide them with a future. And then they shame these same men because these men want, to find a woman who is fit, feminine, and friendly, and that can have children. And the same women who are shamed, and they're like, "Oh, you're a bunch of old, creepy men. You're 40 years old. What are you doing with a 27-year-old? All right, you should be dating a woman who's your age or older." So a 50-year-old woman is okay dating a 40-year-old man and believes that a 40-year-old man should be dating her and marrying her and providing his value to her, even though when she was in her 20s, she was dating men in their 40s. But now that she's in her 50s, she thinks that a 40-year-old man, it's appropriate for a 40-year-old man to be dating her. She thinks that it's okay for men in their 20s or even in their late teens to hook up with her. But if a man does the same things, then they are creeps, and society needs to punish them, shame them, and potentially even incarcerate them. Do you see, guys? Women are revealing their hands so much of how much they hate us and how they perceive themselves. You have so many women who are now putting out videos online that if a man does not worship them, if he does not worship them, if he does not kneel before them, if he does not worship the ground that they walk on, if he does not treat them like a goddess, then basically they need to next him. Guys, I called it the golden V, the collapse of the golden V. That's where we're headed. Don't forget what happened with the children of Israel, where they basically created the golden calf after everything God had given to them, and they basically chose the golden calf over God. And as a result of that, they ended up walking in the wilderness for, like, was it 40 years, until everyone from the generation that was involved in that had passed away. Now, this is a very intriguing, that's a curse. It's a very intriguing thing I want you guys to think about. God basically had done everything for these people. And I'm assuming that had they not chosen a false God and began praying to a false God, this situation would not have occurred. Women, on the other hand, have basically put the V on a pedestal. Simps are worshiping it. But again, don't forget that Simps have their own agenda. Okay? This is how they survive. And now, it's basically worship the V over God, or God wants you to worship the V. What if God was a woman? Do you remember, like, all that garbage from Ariana Grande and all of these other liberated women? Gosh, guys, these women are messing around because they are now trying to replace God. That's an insane thing. That's an absolute. They're trying to replace God with the V, with the golden V, just like the golden calf, the golden V. What did God do? He destroyed it. So what will end up happening to the V? Guys, they are facing that it is facing destruction and despair. And of course, because they take no accountability for anything that they've done, they will just blame men. When truly very hard times arrive for women, they will just blame men. And they know it. They're gaslighting men right now. All right? They will continue to use shame, insults, guilt, gaslighting, nagging because they need to be right. There's no way they will ever take accountability because they were never raised to take accountability. Women are afraid of accountability, afraid of it. They would rather stay on their hill until the end of their days than ever take accountability for anything or be held accountable for the things that they've said and done. This is the mindset of these individuals.
To embrace genuine connections are flourishing. It's a brutal but necessary evolution. Men are reclaiming their power, and it's a beautiful thing. They're no longer settling for being used and discarded. They're setting higher standards and demanding respect. This change is creating a healthier, more balanced social dynamic. The cries of leftover and gold-digging women are a testament to their desperation. They're realizing that their old tricks no longer work, and they're facing an uncertain future. They have to adapt or be left behind. As men continue to rise, they're inspiring others to do the same. They're building communities of like-minded individuals who support each other's growth. This unity is a formidable force that's reshaping society. The collapse of the simp economy is a turning point. It's a rejection of a system that devalued men and exploited their kindness. It's a celebration of men's inherent worth and a call to reclaim their power. Women who relied on manipulation are finding themselves in a tough spot. They can't keep up the charade anymore. They have to develop real, meaningful qualities if they want to be part of this new era. Men are no longer chasing women who don't respect them. They're pursuing their goals, building their empires, and living life on their terms. This independence is attracting the right kind of partners who appreciate their strength and vision. The cries of leftover and gold-digging women are falling on deaf ears. Men have moved on, leaving behind those who only wanted to take advantage. This shift is empowering, and it's changing the way relationships are formed and maintained. China's simp economy was always destined to collapse. It was built on a foundation of manipulation and superficiality. Now, as men reclaim their power, a new, more authentic era is dawning. The collapse is a call to action for women to step up their game. They need to bring more to the table than just their looks and demands. They need to offer genuine partnership and respect if they want to attract high-value men. Men are no longer willing to play the simp game. They're setting higher standards and expecting more from their partners. This change is leading to healthier, more fulfilling relationships. The cries of those who thrived in the simp economy are a sign of progress. It means the old exploitative ways are dying, and a new, more balanced dynamic is taking its place. Men are finally recognizing their worth. They're not letting themselves be used and discarded anymore. They're demanding respect and getting it. This shift is a powerful, positive change for society.
You know, guys, this is a very, very major shift that's occurring right now. And women are going to have to basically deal with the situation. They think they're going to continue to use vitriolic language and, and attack men. It's just not going to work for them forever. Guys, I actually have a new article coming out for you guys. Go and check it out. It's on the Angry Guy Clubhouse. Choosing a girlfriend is like hiring an employee. If you couldn't work with her, then definitely don't date or marry her. So you can find a link to this article you can find a link to the article that I've dropped in the description of this video, and you can go and check that out because I think it's very, very relevant. So I think that you guys will really enjoy that. It's linked right in the description of the video, so go and definitely check that out, guys, because the simp economy is on its way out.
New here, you enjoy my content, and I've given you some value. All I ask is please give me a thumbs up.
I mean, guys, we have another video coming up in a bit from Aaron Clary, and he's going to basically go a little bit further into this because there's a simp-apocalypse on the way, okay? Because the collapse of the simp economy, as you can see, it's keeping it's keeping most women in Western society afloat right now. Most women are living off the simp economy in addition to living off the state. The state cannot afford to subsidize the living of women. Men have been basically been turned into de facto slaves by the state through through the criminal court system, through the family court system, through divorce court, and a variety of other means, which allows the state to reallocate wealth and resources from men and back to the state, and then divide those resources to subsidize the living of women. Without men, the state cannot survive. Men pay 80% of all taxes, while women make 80% of all consumer purchases. Okay, so the state is dependent upon women being women spending like crazy, but and men paying taxes like crazy. In other words, without men working long hours, without men getting into relationships, without men giving women the opportunity to extract wealth and resources from them, then the state cannot survive. Even small losses, even a 10 to 20% loss in tax revenue from being collected by men will have some major implications on the state. For example, guys, look at Social Security. Come 2034, although it could happen before that, Social Security will be completely out of money, and people who had Social Security will end up receiving somewhere between 70 and 77% of what they're getting right now. But if the average Social Security check is around $1,000, that will go down to somewhere around between $600 and $700 a month, and that's what the boomers will have to live off. As you can see, it's a major implication. Now, check this out. If more men continue walking away or going their own way, the amount of tax revenue that will be coming in, because Social Security at that point, when the Social Security funds run out of money, will only be paying revenue based on will only be paying Social Security based on payroll taxes that are being gathered. So that means that the amount of money that people will receive would also fluctuate. If men have opted out, then the Social Security system could also collapse as well. So even that amount of money would go down. You could end up looking at boomers collecting checks really between $400 and $500, or $500 and $600 on average. So almost half of what they would be getting in the first place. And there's really no adjustments for inflation, because it would just entirely be based on what taxable income there is at the time. There's no money left in the funds, so there's nothing to pull from. So, and you have to think about this. The first of the baby boomer women are turning 60 next year. Not baby boomer women, Gen X women. The first of Gen X women and Gen X men, but Gen X women specifically, are turning 60 next year. And within 5 years, they will all be eligible to collect Social Security. In fact, it's not even 5 years. Let's do the math here. Like, at what age can you collect Social Security? So you can start receiving Social Security retirement benefits as early as age 62, but your benefits will be reduced if you do so. The amount you receive each month for the rest of your life is lower if you start receiving benefits before your full retirement age. If you were born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67. For example, if you turn 62 in 2024, your benefit would be about 30% lower than it would be at your full retirement age of 67. So guys, in literally just 2.5 years, the first of baby boomer women will be eligible to collect Social Security, and they are well aware that that Social Security is falling apart. They're damn well aware that there very well may be nothing for them in 10 years. So many of them may do the math and say, well, you know what? The fund is running out of money. How much money would I even be collecting 10 years from now? Or 5 years, if you want to say, like, or 5 years or so forth, 5 years or whatever. So doing the math, and so they're doing the math, they may go, well, even though I'll be collecting less if I take the money right now, chances are, because there's not going to be any money in the first place, or it's going to go down. This is something to consider. It makes sense to take it early, get whatever the hell I can get out of it, all right? Stack it, because it's not going to get any better. And I'm telling you, don't forget that it's not just baby boomer women who are going to do it. A lot of Gen X men are going to do it too. Gen X damn well knows the boomers are delusional. They think Social Security will last forever and they will get their entitlements, because they're just like Gen Z. They're just like Gen Z. They're extremely entitled, and they vote in masses So they believe that if they just keep on voting for these policies or demanding it, they'll get whatever they want. But eventually you run out of other people's money. Okay? It's like trying to get water out of a stone. And that's how the boomers are. And unfortunately, they're not going to, a lot of them, I don't think they're going to see it coming, because they live in this delulu where they think that no matter what happens, they'll always get what they want one way or another, because they control so much of the wealth in Western society, and they influence, and they have, heavy influence over the economy. But tyranny does not last forever, and many baby boomer women are reporting that they don't have enough money to survive retirement. Half of all baby boomers have no retirement savings. Okay, and then from those that do, only 30% have $100,000 or less. And to make matters worse, the average baby boomer needs around $53,000 a year right now just to survive. 53, and the average baby boomer has, and only 30% have $100,000 or less. All right, the remainder of that have far less than that. Baby boomers are also the fastest growing population becoming homeless. Okay, back in the 1990s, only around 10% of people above the age of 50 were homeless. Today, about half of all homeless people are above the age of 50, and baby boomers are the fastest growing group of homeless people. There's no help coming for them. There's no UBI coming to save them. Gen Z, I told, when I called it, the Gen Z, they're going to be, in their full-blown hippie era within 5 to 10 years. Within 10 years, they'll be in their full-blown hippie era, the ones that are still around. They'll be like, yeah, man, all you need is love, man. Yeah, man, come on, love and kindness, as they're fighting hard tooth and nail for socialism. And they're going to be out there in the streets stealing and squatting, because they won't have the skill sets to survive. They won't be able to, those 9-to-5 jobs are going to become a thing of the past. DoorDash and all of these other jobs, that market is going to become extremely oversaturated, and we're waiting to see exactly how much AI will disrupt these things. Guys, I love being able to go downstairs, walk to the curb, and grab my food from the curb and not have to deal with a delivery driver. None of that. That's what's coming with automation. All right, you'll have these cars delivering your food to you. You'll open the door, your food will be there. You'll scan it, use your phone. You'll basically use your phone, scan your phone on it, and you'll just open it up, take your food, and that's it. That's it. And all of these jobs will be eliminated very, very quickly, and you will get your food faster as well. You have to wake up and realize that a lot of women today, they're not prepared for any of this, because they've been living off the simp economy, so they don't know what to do. And men of value, men of virtue, they're not going to jump into relationships. In fact, you have men who are dressing down now, dressing like they're poor, carrying themselves like they're poor, okay? So they don't draw attention. These are the dudes with the bread. They don't want a relationship. There was this dude in Japan, black dude in Japan, and I made a video about this guy. And, he talks about, the importance of looking poor and all of these factors. I might make another video about him again, just to go over it again, because sometimes I like to revisit these things. And this dude was literally out here like, if a woman wants to go out, where's she going to take him? Dude literally said that, like he's gotten used to this life. But I'm going to tell you what happened. Old boy learned his lesson. All right. Hard times arrived for him, and he found himself with very little money. And that's when he realized the importance of taking care of yourself as a man. You can't run out there and find a woman to go and sugar mama it for you. All right. And this is a tall, fairly good looking guy. And after he learned his lesson the hard way, he began pulling back. He learned the power of no. And if a woman wants to go out with him, she's going to have to basically take care of that bill. She's going to have to foot that bill. And maybe he was being a little facetious and joking a bit, but I don't think so. I really don't think so. This guy does not, this guy has no car. This guy walks everywhere when he wants food. He lives decent life. He's basically a minimalist. He's not starving. He has a nice computer setup from what I've seen. He's living a simple life of luxury and comfort. But you know, you can see it in his eyes. Once men enter into this lifestyle, it's very hard for them to get out of it because men are minimalist by nature. And for guys, you know, once you learn how to live without physical intimacy, most men will spend the vast majority of their lives without physical intimacy, but just the prospect and hope of it drives them towards continuing to try. But if a man accepts that this is not important to me and the juice is not worth the squeeze, a lot of guys will learn how to behave themselves, and gradually they will deviate away from the desire for it. Basically, if they need to, they'll just go, you know, look at some content and, you know, pluck the chicken and then move on to the next thing. And they'll look and say, wow, all my money is still in my wallet and I haven't been me too'd. You know, God is good. God is good.
The term military analyst is not a legally protected term. It's not like doctor. It's more like economist. You know, any asshole can start calling themselves one and fart out a vaguely plausible opinion on the current situation.
So Cappy had to do some economics today. I actually had to do some I'm going to open up my soda water. Why is it sitting here? Why don't I open up my soda water? Soda water is very important when it gets hot in Vegas. Horrible tasting soda water. Don't get that. But I actually had to do some research. I felt like an economist again. It's a great quote. Shut up. We'll get to the topic. Chill the fuck out. We'll get there. It's like Robert De Niro in Midnight Run. What are you smiling about? Feel like a cop again. I feel like an economist again because I actually had to go do some research as Jermaine because while other economists are diddling around with interest rates and policies, I'm like, ain't no fuel in men's gas tanks. Let's see where this is going. So I think it was in the comment section or something. Somebody said that the standard premise of, okay, women want equality, and okay, we're in a welfare state, but a lot of guys are retreating or not getting married. There's certainly a marriage deficit. Men are not. Like, stay away from that landmine field over there. But then a not irrational response or retort is, yeah, but simps will always bail them out. And then my brain went ping, it fired so loud, maybe other people heard it.
Simps will not always bail them out, guys. Women have basically overplayed their hand. The fall of this simp economy, guys, I'm telling you, it's going to massively reshape the landscape for women and for everyone around us because men are realizing their worth. And by the way, guys, don't forget to check out the Angry Guys Clubhouse. We have podcasts, extended videos, chats, guys. You can hit me up via chat. You can send me a message via chat, and we can talk back and forth in real time. It's awesome. We have guides. We have everything over there. I drop new articles. This one, live your best life. No one else is going to do it for you. Women are driving men to isolation and celibacy. Society must collapse so that men can rebuild it. Women's rights crumbled after the Roman Empire collapsed. These are some of the articles that we have on there. We also have some very, very valuable things. For example, we have our guides over there, like how to build a thriving business empire and have fun doing it. The blueprint for escaping the rat race. You know, there's all kinds of value over there. We have podcasts over there. We have podcasts. We have extended videos and exclusive videos. Yeah, we're killing it. We're absolutely killing it over in the Angry Guy Clubhouse. Right now we have over 500 members. Yeah, I know you're like, yeah, we have over 500 people in the Angry Guy Clubhouse right now, so it is absolutely lit. We have a large family of subscribers that are just enjoying themselves. So definitely go and check that out. It's linked in the description of the video. And you know, I also told you guys that you can go and check out, you know, our latest article, which is choosing a girlfriend is like hiring an employee. You know, that's going to be linked in the description as well. You can go check that out, and that's in the clubhouse. That is right in the clubhouse for you to go and check out. Let's go ahead and jump right back into the Aaron Clary video.
Wait a minute. Our good friend Vlad Elkins of the Elkins Accounting Hour, he was telling me, because he's a CPA, that he has a handful of OnlyFans girls as tax clients, and he knows their income and revenue. And they told him, yeah, something happened. Like, and these are the pros. These are the ones that actually make the money, are good with their finances is saying, yeah, it was, we had a significant decrease. I should ask Chad, because it would be a data point, what percent on average their income went down. But across the board, the handful of OnlyFans girls that Chad had, their income went down significantly. And I have also, as you guys have known if you've tuned in, I look into my crystal ball. And just here, let me give you professional economists some advice, so maybe you get ahead of the curve of something sometimes. It's not all fucking data. Stop looking at data. I mean, you have to look at data, but stop looking in the past. You got to look at human behavior, say, this is a different aberrant behavior that didn't exist before. They were doing that thing, now they're doing the other thing. There's just, I don't know, be a fucking human being and kind of like, hey, did you notice there's either a lot of people in this bar or is there just not enough of me? You know, I just kind of noticed something about that. If you pay the fuck attention to something changed, the wind has changed, something has changed, and then you go dig up and using your human mind and human behavior, knowing what you know about humans, you might come up with the thesis. And before even one data point is recorded showing that, oh, in fact, things did change, there's other human behavior happening in society that if you look into your crystal ball, you could kind of predict and say, I think we're changing. I think we're going to go this way instead. And that's kind of what I've been noticing, where through consumption of videos and podcasts and YouTube, sometimes data, but then just talking to you economists, talk to people. Do you go out and have do you have a social life? Do you get out much? You just looking at screens all the time. So you guys know that I'm thinking, like, I think there's a quiet retreat. Go watch my video, why men are quietly quitting, or are men quietly quitting women? Because I was just like, God dang, you know, you look at the data and you look at where people are going, what they're saying, it kind of bears out. So I've been of the opinion that unlike girls who go to TikTok and yell and scream and cry bloody murder, good men gone where go, they have thus become men. Pigs don't need no. Men are not that vocal. There was the MGTOW movement, of course, which is still going on, but I think now your rank and file guys, or a significant percent of normal people, are just, they're checking out and just leaving. But instead of pounding the table and yelling to everyone at the playground, I'm taking my ball and going home, men are just like, fuck this shit, I'm out. They don't even make an announcement, and they just stay at home and play video.
So this is what's very interesting. He mentions MGTOW, and this is a heavily censored community. What society thought, what women thought is that by censoring these men, by having these men banned on Reddit, by having them banned on TikTok, by having them silenced on platforms like this one and other platforms, this would effectively stop them from having these ideas and force them to continue to be slaves for society and for the women within society. What they did not understand is that this behavior is just becoming more normalized, regardless if men are a part of the community, identify as this or not. They are still naturally engaging in this behavior where they are separating themselves from relationships and society, taking their ball and going home. And then women are out here like, what's going on? I thought we got rid of MGTOW. I thought we silenced them. So now we have total control and domination. You know, men and boys have to obey us because we've taken away their ideology. They can't, guess what? It doesn't matter. You think that if you treat people like garbage and tell them that they're privileged as you treat them like garbage, they're simply going to say thank you? Guys, they think that men have a lower aptitude than the cockroach. That we have a lower aptitude than the cockroach. And keep in mind, we are hated more than the cockroach in Western society. Women believe, and this is something that PragerU discussed, you know, the founder of PragerU, I think it was Dennis Prager, mentioned, he said that back in the 70s, it started in the 70s, this ideology that women were better than men. And just to let you guys know, women were doing some really gnarly things back then that I can't really speak about here. Okay? But I've heard from, like, you know, I've heard comments from women like Whoopi Goldberg, who was a part of that early feminist movement, doing, like, they were told to do things like grab a mirror and then basically investigate certain things, use the mirror, put it beneath them and then investigate certain things. And they were looking, and just like how they viewed a man's, you know, belongings, his jewels, as a source of power, they began doing the same thing with the V. And then they turned it into the golden V, believing that the V was powerful. And this is what they've done. They've spent the last 50 years putting the V on a pedestal, demanding that everyone worship the V, that they are powerful victims and men are pathetic villains. And they believe that they are stronger. They say that they are stronger than men. They are smarter than men. They are more capable than men. They've been saying this for 50 years now, guys. So what do you think's going to happen? I'm telling you, we're going to see, guys, guys, nothing lasts forever. And you eventually run out of other people's money. It doesn't matter how much technology we have, it's overstated. AI is not going to just replace the jobs of men and give women unlimited amounts of money. And and here's the thing about consumerism, guys. While women actually despise us, they are not capable of just living by themselves. The average woman just wants her bag, but the average woman cannot live alone. It's a complete and utter lie. Oh, I know, like the simp came to my comments saying that AG, in all of your videos, you're saying that women are not designed to live without a husband, but I know plenty of women that are happily living without a man, and they're doing great. And here's the question: do they have children? Do they have grandchildren? Are people taking care of them? Are they a part of a family unit? Because the women I'm talking about are not a part of a family unit. Many of these women are childless, single, alone. They have no one. Okay? When health issues arise, they have no one to turn to outside of their immediate family, which is hard. When you have no children and you have to depend on your elderly parents if they're still around, or you have to depend on your siblings if they're available or you even have any, it's hard. Many women, even in their 30s and 40s now, are finding themselves alone. No one to turn to, no one to take care of them. And again, guys, relationships are transactional. They always have been and they always will be. Can you develop love for a person after you've got into a transactional relationship with someone? You can learn to like them and love them, sure. But marriages have always been transactional. Relationships have always been transactional. It's about what you can do for me and what I can do for you, or what we can build together. Literally, what's love got to do with it? There are so many of you simps, and you know who you are, who will say things along the line of, if there's no love, then it will never last. You're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. There's so many of you that go to the Philippines and you marry a Filipina and you think that it's love. Bro, that's just their natural personality. Some of these women don't even like you. But that's just how they are conditioned. They are raised to be wives and mothers, so they know how to emulate these qualities. I saw a comment from this idiot. I know my wife loves me. Okay, buddy, you know she loves you, but then when you find out that the kids aren't yours and she just leaves you suddenly, you're going to basically come back and say, AG, I don't know what happened. Everything was going just fine. Everything was going just fine, and then she just changed one day and she just walked out on me and handed me divorce papers. I don't understand it. And it's like, bro, I've been lecturing for so long. I've been explaining that men and women operate and think differently. I've explained that, a woman plans her divorce before she plans the wedding. She plans her exit before she plans her entrance. All right. When you got those papers, that was a long time in progress already. She had already long broken up with you. That's even if she was ever with you. Okay. Half of all women have a plan B guy. All right. And when I say half of all married women, this is research that came out recently, have a plan B guy. And when we say plan B guy, we're not talking about the guys that she's, cheating on her husband with. No, we're talking about a guy that she will leave her husband for. I dropped a video recently that showed a woman who had left her husband for a plan B guy, and then she got screwed over because she thought she was going to be moving in with him and he was the love of her life. And then she divorced her husband, and then she got stuck with like a really expensive apartment, and this dude bailed on her. Okay. And I guarantee you that wasn't just the guy that she was being intimate with. She had other guys she was being intimate with during the marriage. Chad and Tyrone, they never leave. No, that's the next guy. That's the guy that it was a guy she had worked with. That's the guy she had now chosen. This is how women think. If women have access to all of these men, why do you think they're ever going to just, settle down with one? No, they don't. Women never really settle down. Most women never really settle down. What they do is they choose a plan B guy. They use that plan B to build their lives off that guy, and then they just focus on being intimate with the guys that they enjoy, because now they have a man that's providing for them, protecting them, subsidizing their living, so they can build their lives off that simp. All right, and Chad and Tyrone are still there. A lot of women who marry these men, they do it knowing that they will never get pregnant by these men. Okay, they deliberately go and they'll have children with Chad and Tyrone, and then have these men, the plan B guy, raise these children. And it's not that they did not know that the child was not this man's child. They deliberately did not want this man to have children with them, because they did not want this man's genes. They did not want this man's genes to intertangle with theirs. They wanted their genes to be from a man that they believed had actual survival value. Chad and Tyrone. So even though Chad and Tyrone are not providers, they are not protectors, they are not men with money, they're not men with qualities of surviving in society today or yesterday, because of the way that they look, and because they're either very pretty, or they're really muscular, or a combination, or they're thugs, they will say that they're attracted to these men, and these men are going to be the men that they want to have babies with, because these men will. It's like a prehistoric mental thing. But to make matters worse, it's not simply Chad and Tyrone. It's also Little Poncho. All right, it's also Little Poncho, and Little Poncho, for them, he's handsome, but I don't really think. Look, I mean, look at him. His little mustache, his tequila, fat little belly, and his man boobs. And this is the man that they love. This is the man that they desire. All right. This guy's there farting in your bed, you know. This guy's farting in your bed, and and dripping taco sauce and tequila everywhere. And they love him for it. Okay? This is the guy. This is the guy. So you have to be really mindful and aware of what's happening around you and what's happening in your life, and the way that women think and operate, because they will take advantage of you. They will use you, and there are no gripes about it, which is one of the reasons why I don't think the average man should really settle with one woman. You basically should just keep your options open. Okay, guys, a research study just literally found that many studies have found that women are more attracted to men that are physically intimate with a lot of different women. And if you go out on this, and there's a saying: give a woman enough time, let a woman speak for long enough, and she will tell on herself. You have all of these street interviews, and they ask these women, who would you rather, a broke boy or a guy who cheats on you? Broke, and they'll say guy who cheats on me. All right, a guy who makes $50,000 a year, or a guy who makes six figures but he cheats on you. Guy who makes six figures. They actually like the guys. They are perfectly fine with the notion of a man cheating on them, because they're also cheating on him. And they subconsciously expect that a high value man is going to have options. All right, that only makes them more attracted. A man who is loyal, a man who is really a family guy. Those are the men that they are least attracted to. Okay, because it is from the streets that they came, it is to the streets they shall return. Chad and Tyrone are for the streets. And what does a woman truly desire? What is calling out to her constantly? The streets. Okay? So the men that she loves are naturally going to be for the streets.
Behavior. How many men even go to nightclubs anymore like that? So I was thinking, I think men are dropping out, but then immediately guys are like, yeah, but there will always be simps to bail. The simps, Jesus said, the simps you will always have with you. And I said, I don't know about that anymore. And so when Chad said the OnlyFans girls he had a significant drop in income, I'm like, wait a minute. Are men getting it? My theory is, are men, simps or not, but certainly the simps, are young men, or old men, any men, getting informed now because of the internet and online media, these atrocious TikTok videos these girls do. Not to mention, where guys like Fresh and Fit, no matter what you think of them, you cannot deny they did great work bringing these girls on. Kevin Samuels, may he rest in peace, brought these girls on. Fresh and Fit were the first of the originals who did that. Then the whatever podcast, and now everyone's trying to copycat and all that other stuff. Whatever it is, you start seeing that now. Men can't deny that. You could argue it's theater. You could argue, oh, most girls aren't like that. Fine. But it's been going on for what now? 2-3 years? And now you cannot deny that men are informed. The idea of simps, go back 5-10 years ago, where you had the idea of a, not proto relationship, unimodal, unidirectional, a one-sided, asymmetrical relationship. It was an online relationship, and it only went one way. Remember when girls would, and they were at one time, there were actual girls who would go online and oh my God, PayPal me money. Oh my, that's so nice. Before it was formalized in OnlyFans, and you thought it was going to go somewhere. You thought you were going to meet these girls. Then it became like a legit, like an actual real business where girls would just give me, and now I'm a celebrity. I'm the end. Oh, thank you, Jimmy. Getting to the point where girls would do whatever it is they do on the internet, and they have staff of men fake texting you guys, thinking you're actually having a conversational relationship with these girls, and that there was somehow a chance that you were actually going to meet them. Even though they're online, even though they're for all the men to see, doing live streams, whatever they were doing. Even before that, it may have been one-on-one. They were still leading you on, like the proto-simps. And then as this has evolved from, say, a one-on-one exchange between a girl just leading a guy on the internet to try and sucker some money out of him, now you could see it on OnlyFans. It's effectively a strip club online, and nothing wrong with that, not crazy. But now we know. And now the guy's like, oh, we even have a term for it, a simp. And now men are fully aware they're never going to get that girl. That hope has been eliminated. And now I wonder if there's less actual simps out there. We're like, yeah, I'm not throwing my money at that. That was dumb. Could you imagine remember 5 years ago, I thought that girl over whatever in Tallahassee liked me. Turned out like it was a guy and it was a bot or whatever else. I'll say it again. Men are slow, but they're not stupid. And the internet exposes all. And now that we're seeing this happen for what it is, my theory is, yeah, the men are coming out, and the men, and including the simps. And to test my theory, what I wanted to do was, I was like, well, let's go take a look at revenue for OnlyFans. That's a pretty good barometer, don't you think? Don't you think? Okay, if there's Simp Central, the OnlyFans. Well, here's the problem. And God, I'm such a good economist. I'm so good. Why are you so good, Aaron? Because I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of my time. I'll die poor, but then they'll discover my works 100 years from now. Look at this grant, and then someone's going to name a company after me. Oh, did you know he died a pauper? He was ahead of his time. Ah, fuck. Those guys never make money. The two problems with looking up OnlyFans data. One, OnlyFans is not a publicly traded company. So I can't get quarterly updated financial statements like the second Disney shat the bed with their shit woke trash. It only took 3 months for the quarter to bear out. They have to publicly publish their financial statement. And then we all find out, yeah, it makes sense. You made woke shit, Marxist trash, and now you have losses. So we could see that. OnlyFans is a private firm. They don't have to publish their financial information. Now, sometimes private companies do that, which they don't have to, but they do. And OnlyFans is one of them. Also related, problem number 2, is that I think OnlyFans, they're a United Kingdom company, and they have a different year end. I couldn't find anything. So the short version, what that ultimately means is the latest data we have is from 2022. And I don't know where their year end is. So we have data that is 1.5 years, 2 years old. And I'm saying this switch the trend is changing in the past year, which is not going to be reflected in the latest data we have. I'm saying the simp exodus, the exodus of simps, probably started happening 6 months to a year ago, so we can't see that in the data, right? So I have to rely on anecdotes or reports from the field or human behavior or just gut feeling. And so when Chad said, "Yeah, the revenue went down for my girls," and I also remember some other girls saying it went down. I'm like, "Oh, is it already happening now?" So if you can't get the official figures, which is hard to get, I started digging around, and I'm not kidding, guys. I'm so ahead of the curve. We're at the I'm going to show. Let me show you the chart. Let me show you one piece of data. Okay, now I got to share a screen. No, scorched earth, no. StreamYard, no. Why can't I show the OnlyFans? StreamYard Studio? OnlyFans. Hang on, let me get this. You know what? Let me open it up in a different. Fuck, this is okay. Let me try it again.
I mean, guys, women did this to themselves. They made a decision. They said that, hey, we can do whatever we want. We can do bad all on our own. We don't need no man. And this is the reality that they're living in right now. Okay. It's not just China. It's not just a simp economy in China. It's a simp economy globally. Guys, all this is going to lead to, I mean, in just 4.5 years, half of all women will be childless and single in the United States between the ages of 25 and 44. That's a lot of single women. A lot of these women are going to be living in shelters. They're going to be living on the streets. They're going to be living in the woods. They're going to be living in their cars. And men have woken up. Men are just increasingly going to walk away or go their own way. MWA are men with alternatives. So these are men who are going overseas, are basically choosing from their best alternatives when it comes to women. MGTOWs are men going their own way, and these men are choosing to just walk. These men are choosing to completely avoid relationships and dating and live their best lives by themselves. Okay, and that's the reality that women have created, and again, I think women are going to stay. Women will never take any accountability. They'll blame men. They'll blame society. They would even blame God before they ever take accountability for the things that they've done. All right, think about this carefully. Like Eve would blame God for putting the snake in the Garden of Eden and the tree, versus taking any accountability from eating from the tree and listening to the snake when God told her don't do it, and what the consequences would be. She would blame God because she did it anyway. But that's the reality that we now live in, guys. Like I said, check out the Angry Guy Clubhouse. It's linked in the description. You can go check that out and enjoy the content. It's really awesome. We've got a lot of good stuff over there. We're constantly cooking on the Angry Guy Clubhouse. And also, when you guys join the Clubhouse, you get access to to our free digital nomad blueprint. The Clubhouse is linked in the description. You can go get your copy of the blueprint, learn how, because guys, everything is going to hell. You need to know how to escape the rat race and escape the hell on earth that's on the way, because we are literally heading for hard times. For many of us are already in hard times, but it's only going to get worse. So you have to take full advantage of what you have right now to prepare for the cultural dark age that we've now entered into. But let me know your thoughts on this, guys. China's simp economy just crashed and gold diggers are pissed. Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWM and walking away. And cheers.